If you really want to get good in your artistic practice, there's two things you're going to have to do. Number one is to get started, and number two, don't quit. I know that sounds super simple, but hear me out. I've been doing this for over 50 years. Getting started is not as simple as it sounds. You will face a lot of resistance and you will have a block from time to time and not know what to do. A lot of times I'll come down into my studio and stare at a blank canvas and it'll stare back at me and nothing will happen unless I start moving that brush around, splashing some paint around, doodling, or getting something on that canvas. Because, as Pablo Picasso says, if you want to find inspiration, inspiration has to find you working. It just doesn't happen. You just don't get these great ideas out of the blue and just create these great paintings. A lot of times the greatness comes to consistent failure and reiteration and trying over and over and over again. And that's hard work, especially if you're looking at your work and your work is staring back at you and you're not liking it. And it can get to you sometimes. It really, really can put a hamper on your enthusiasm towards the work. But you have to get started, and a lot of artists deal with the fear of getting started because you don't have nothing. If you don't feel like you have nothing to give, it feels like you have to work extra hard to get something out, and even then what you do can be a failure in your eyes. Now, a lot of times what your failures look like are masterpieces to some people. So you just got to keep working. And the key is to get started. Do something. And if you're not creating the habit of creating art each and every day, it gets harder to come down into your studio once or twice a week to work. So that's the key. That's the first key. Get started. So getting started is going to look different for me than it is for you. You have to decide how you're going to go about doing it. Now, when I started my sketch routine, I said I was going to do one sketch a day on an index card. That was my goal. I set a small, obtainable goal to do one sketch a day. And eventually I started doing 5, 8 to 10 each and every day. And now it has become a habit. I don't even think about it. I just do it. But when I started, it was a struggle. So you not only have to get over the hump and the fear of getting into a new routine, you also have to get into the habit of constantly failing and constantly struggling with the new skill or the new thing that you're learning how to do. And it's uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And once you can allow yourself to be in that space, then that's where you're going to see the growth in your practice. Get started. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. Don't obsess over what what it's going to look like. Just jump in and get started, because in so doing, you're going to get that ball rolling and the train moving, and before you know it, you're going to be doing great and beautiful work. The second thing is, once you get going and once you get started, you have to not quit. You have to really, really fight and really be mindful that the resistance is going to be so great that it's going to compel you to quit, but don't quit. The failures are going to be so painful, right? But don't quit. Once you get started, you're going to have a million and one reasons to quit, because you're not going to see the growth right away. You're not going to see the progress right away, and you're not going to see the results right away. So all these things are going to compound, and it's going to compel you to quit, but don't quit. Don't quit, because it's through pushing through and it's through really, really having the courage to stick with it. That's what's going to define you and make you stand out as an artist. You're going to have your bad days. You're going to have some good days, but you're going to have a lot of bad days, and you're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of times where you're going to get frustrated with not seeing the progress and not seeing the results you desire to see. Your work is not going to look all pretty and grand, and it's definitely going to be a struggle to get minimal results, right? But don't quit. Now, this is the piece of advice that I got from an artist years ago. I was walking around Montclair, New Jersey, and I was with my wife, and we were walking around looking at all these shops, and there was this art studio, storefront art studio, and I was like, oh, I was aspiring young artist at the time. I was like, we should go in and check out this guy's work. So the guy was working in his studio, and I'm like, wow, your work is really, really good. He was like, yeah, thank you. And I began to talk with him, and I was like, I'm a aspiring artist myself, and I want to go full time into the arts. What advice would you give me? And he looked at me and he said, don't quit. And I was like, okay, that's it. And he was like, yeah, that's it. Don't quit. Those words stuck with me. Those words stuck with me for a long time. And now when I think back on it, that's the best advice that I have ever gotten from an artist. And I've spoken to a lot of artists over the years. I've gotten many, many uh, good advice and counsel. But the greatest advice that I ever got was from that artist in Montclair, and was not to quit. And it's so true. It's so true. Because no matter how good you get, no matter what mountain you climb, there's always going to be another mountain to climb. Um, you can get so good, and it won't mean nothing. It won't mean nothing because in your eyes there is another mountain to climb before you. There's another level that you got to go. And as artists, we're always looking to go to that next level. And we never see our own work as measuring up because there's so much amazing work out there, and it's so easy to compare your work to another artist. Even there's so many artists that have started way, way before me that are better than me, right? But there's always that temptation to compare your work to another artist's work. And what I would say is don't do that. Don't compare your work to another artist's work because you are a unique individual. You are created in the image and likeness of Yahweh. There is no one on this earth like you. There's no one on this earth that will draw the same drawings or write the same writings as you. There's no one who can create like you because you are a unique individual. There will never be another you, right? There will never be another you, and there never was another you. So you are totally unique in the span of this whole cosmos and universe. And that is very powerful. And you have to remember that. You have to remember that because it's so easy to get caught up in comparing your work to other artists' work or looking at your work against another artist's work. But it's not how you see your work, it's how other people see your work and how other people receive your work. And what you pour into your work is unique to your own work, to your own style, and to your own story. So that is the uniqueness and the power of art. There is no two paintings that are exactly alike. Now, you can copy a painting, right? Or you can copy another master's work. But when we're talking about what authentically comes from your heart, your mind, and your soul, nobody can create what you create. Now, like I said before, to tap into that unique art, that unique creation that is in you, you're going to have to dig. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to stab at it each and every day. You're going to have to fail over and over and over again. And that might be painful. That might be stressful. That might not be the glorious track that you envisioned this to be, but that's the reality. That's what you have to do in order to get to that goal that's within you. You got to do the work. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to dig until you know your hands are numb and then you can't dig anymore. But you got to keep going because I'm going to tell you, my friend, you see the glory, but you don't know the story. And that is so true. There is a story for you to unveil and to tell through your work. And that comes with the good and the bad, right? So, in order to tell that story, you can't quit because there is a great piece of art in you. And I know that you can unveil it. I know that you can unearth it. I know that you can find it. But you got to be willing to go through the struggle to get to it. Now, I talked a lot about failure, right? And in my studio, there are a bunch of failures laying around. And I want to tell you something. What you view as a failure, someone else may view as a masterpiece. And the only way for you to know that is for you to put your work out there. There's been plenty of times where I've done a piece of work and I wasn't so crazy about it. I put it out there and people love it. And I'm like, what? And that's often the case. Sometimes the work that you feel is the worst thing you ever created will be the greatest thing that somebody ever saw. So you never know how your work is going to be received. And that's also the beauty about this thing. You really don't know. You really don't know what's going to hit, what's going to be received, and what people are going to value concerning your work. But if you keep at it, if you keep working at it, if you keep getting good at what you do, if you keep working on your skill set and, you know, show up for your work, show up to do your work, you're going to do those masterpieces and they're going to come. They're going to come via inspiration. They're going to come via hard work. They're going to come through your experience, your story, just your life in general. And you are the art, right? You are the art because you're special. And you got to know that. You have to know that and you have to believe that. So I just want to encourage you, get started and don't quit. That's the best advice that I can give you with over 50 years of doing art. I can tell you, art has brought me great joy. It has brought me great love. It has really shaped my life in ways that is unimaginable. And I view my art as divine. It is from Yahweh. The Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes from above. The gift that's given you, it's from above. It's divine. So reverence it because it's special. It is unique and no one else has your gift but you. I hope this helps somebody. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share. I love you all. Yahweh bless, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace out.